Hello and welcome. This is a continuation of our Fortinet series, and if we've been following, we have already done FortiGate and FortiManager installations. We created an interface which is connected to my broadband, which takes me to the internet, and I created another subnet which is for my local LAN. I installed the FortiManager in the local LAN, and I'm doing the same for the FortiAnalyzer. You can also check the download of VM image and how you register it, just to see how we got those images from Fortinet, FortiCloud. So if we start with the Fortinet FortiAnalyzer, we're going to open the image, and here I've got the files. So if you go to FortiAnalyzer, which is here, there are a number of different files in here. And again, please check the documentation which one to use. For VMware Workstation, we only need the FortiAnalyzer VM64, same as we did for FortiManager and FortiGateway. If you're using ESXi, VMware ESXi, there might be some hard disk files you have to add, but you have to check which one you need to use as per the documentation. So that's on Fortinet documentation. So here we choose that file, and then we open that, we accept the license, and then we name the machine FortiAnalyzer. And I'm going to install it in a location that I've already assigned in my computer. I call that folder FortiAnalyzer, and I'm copying the directory. So if I delete the default one, I have this directory, Fortinet FortiAnalyzer, and then I'm going to import the file to that directory. So the file is now loaded. I'm going to put it in this folder, and FortiAnalyzer, it comes with 16 gig, and if you want to reduce it, you can. This is a lab, so you can go all the way to 8 or even less, but I will leave it as that since I have enough memory here. And the processors, everything as they are. Those disks, they got two, one for the boot and one for the logs. And I have a number of interfaces. I am going to disable the ones I'm not using. For example, this one, the second one, I will disconnect that interface, disconnect the second, and disconnect that last one. But the first one I'm going to connect to my LAN, and that LAN is VMnet1. So I will accept the rest as they are. Now I will start the boot, and then it takes a bit of a time, same like the FortiManager, to load and prepare the machine. From there we will install the installation, and then we will configure the related setup configurations. So let me pause the recording for a while until it prepares the machine. Okay, so that took really long, 1 hour and 15 minutes, but the machine is ready now. We have FortiAnalyzer installed, and what we're going to do now, we finished the basic configurations, for example, the password, the username, the machine name, the root, so it can fetch the license from FortiCloud. So the admin user, it doesn't have a password, so when you click enter, it asks you to create a new one. So we're going to create new password, and then we repeat the same password. Okay, so the password is now complete and it's ready, but we need to change the machine name. So we go to the global system config. So we say config system global. Then we can change the host name. So host name, or say set host name. Host name. So that's the name. And when you exit, it will change the name. Now that's all good, but do we have access to the internet? So if we say execute ping google.com, we have that access. How does it access? Let's see. The network card is connected to, let's go to the analyzer. The network card that I'm using, it is connected to VMnet1, which is NATed behind the firewall. So if you watch the previous video where we installed the FortiManager, we discussed creating that connectivity. So please have a look, but we have internet connectivity. So if we say show system interface port 1, if you do that, then you see port 1 is DHCP. We don't want that. We need to configure a static IP, and we want to provide a root to that subnet. So we are in the LAN network, and if I go to the port itself, we have to set that interface and say config system interface, and then we select the interface number. We say edit port 1. First we need to change the mode, so let's say set mode static. Now mode is done to static. We can set the IP address now, so set IP, and let's give it numlock 10.1.1.101 and /24. We have now that IP set. We can also add some settings to allow access to here it only allows HTTPS, SSH, but we can also add ping, we can add FortiGate management or the fabric connectivity. So we can say set allow access, sorry, one word, allow access, and then ping we need to add, HTTP we need to add, HTTPS, HTTP already there, and then we add SSH is also there. We need FGFM, and then we add fabric. Then that's all set. If we now say show, you see the IP we're setting is 10.1.1.101, but do we have the network connectivity to the upstream? So if we end, and let's check if we can ping Google with that subnet now. Ping google.com, and there's no connectivity there because we moved to the LAN. Now we need to set the route to the default route to exit from the local LAN, which is netted behind the FortiGate firewall. So what we're going to do is go to config system route, config system, I missed the S, so config system route. Then we are now setting, if you haven't done any changes, we have to set edit 0, the first one we start with, and no new interview created, that's fine. Then later on, if we have other routes, we can also add 1, 2, 3, 4. But for the first one, we say set gateway, and then we provide the gateway. The gateway is the firewall, so 10.1.1.115, and that's the FortiGate local LAN interface. And the FortiAnalyzer will be pointing traffic to that, and FortiGate will apply the routes and also the firewall rules. And the interface we are doing, this change will be set device port 1, and that's port 1. So now that local LAN will have a default gateway to the firewall. And if we end, now if we try Google, execute, I think we made the mistake when we said Google. I didn't even check. Execute Google, execute ping google.com. You get used to ping from other vendors. So now we have that route. We can access the FortiCloud services. So if we have now the network, let's connect to the portal and apply the license. We have EVA license, and I'm going to use that. So let's say I have this network, and the IP address is 10.1.1.101. So if you have network connectivity, please check. This should work because we have the route, we have the connectivity, so it shouldn't block us. Maybe the services are restarting, services didn't start fully. I had to allow HTTPS and HTTP and then wait for some time for the GUI to work. It was disconnecting. Then I troubleshooted that, that went back. So now it's asking me to register the license. You can either download the license and upload it from here, or you can connect directly. Because we have internet connectivity, we can log in here and then connect to the portal, download. Then the system will take time to fetch the license, and then the system will reboot. That reboot takes really long, so you have to prepare for that time. So what I'm going to do, I'll pause the recording, log in, and then I will leave the machine running. After it reboots, I'll show you again the final steps. Okay, so I had some issue when I am keying in my username password. It was showing it cannot resolve the name. So what I did, I went to the command line, and then I added the DNS to the command line. So you might need to add config system DNS, and then set the primary, set the secondary, and then it will connect to the FortiCloud, and when you have that connectivity, the system will fetch the license, and then it will start restarting. It will start booting the machine, and I will stop again and then show you again the process. Okay, so the installation completed and the machine's up and running. So if we now go to the login page and provide the username and password, this will take us to the initial setup. We'll do all this later, but first we need to log in to the main page, and there you go, you have a complete installation of FortiAnalyzer. The addition of this to the fabric and also completion of the rest of the configurations we will do in other videos. Thank you again for your time, and see you in other videos.